car, handcuffed. And that's what happened last night.
The police kicked in the door, shot him twice in the chest, and he died.
Before you knew it, we had 500 families. We had over 100 volunteers calling us. We were on the phone constantly.
I can't get it, and I got one police department telling me they don't know who's in charge. I got another police department here. Everybody's got a gun, and nobody knows who's in charge. Can anybody figure out who's in charge yet? Is there anybody in charge here? Any police officer in charge? Are you in charge? I can't find anybody in charge. That's the problem.
Today, our featured guest is Cate. Is it Manochio or Manochio, Cate?
Manochio.
Manochio. I was wrong both times.
It's
but
okay. Everybody is.
you're a member of the Movement for a People's Party here in New Jersey. You like to describe yourself as an activist and an artivist. And I heard you say before that you're the one that helps design some banners for rallies and protests and whatnot.
Sure. For artivists, not just design them, but paint them. I have a good friend in New York City. We get together and she has a huge long table and we paint like these 9-foot banners.
Wow.
And it keeps me from beating my head against the wall because being involved is important.
I'm still in the stick figures part of life. I never learned to draw the stick figures. Leah, if you're in the background and you want to hop on this one too, come right on, because what we're going to be talking about tonight is we are a week into the Biden presidency. So normally, when talking about presidents, there's this whole thing about the first 100 days. Well, it's only been a week, right? So I do want to preface this today by saying that I'm not the biggest fan of Joe Biden. I have been very critical of Joe Biden on the record on this show. He is a political opportunist. He has used Black people to advance his own career. I don't think he's an honest man. I don't think he's a decent man. I think he's a person who used people to get ahead, right? And I want to preface it by saying that if you work with white supremacists, I don't care if it's in the 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s, to further their agenda, you're not a good person. That being said, I do think he's better than Donald Trump, right? And I will be fair, and I will leave that there. So, but I did want to preface that because I didn't want to be the guy to come in and start singing Joe Biden's praises, because it only has been a week, and I'm not going to delude myself into thinking that that everything's.
You are going to be the nicest one to him.
Maybe I will be the nicest one. But there was a meme that came out like a week ago, and it said, "This is the first time Democrats have control of government since the last time Democrats had control of government." Exactly. Right? It's been 4 years, and
that worked out for us.
Yeah, I mean, Trump was a disaster. Trump was bad, and these 4 years have felt like 20. So we're at a point now where Joe Biden is starting to. In one hand, he's preaching unity with Republicans, but he's also doing everything he can to roll back Trump's legacy, which is a good thing. So there's a couple points I want to make here before I ask you folks some questions. I have it like a non-exhaustive list here of some of the things Biden has done, right? On the pandemic, we're rejoining the World Health Organization. He wants to he just ordered 200 million more vaccines for the country. These are good things. He wants to, he's bringing back DACA, which is a good thing. He's ending the Muslim ban, which was a horrible racist policy. He's allowing trans people back in the military. I mean, that I still throw, which is good for them if you want to be in the military. For me, I'm just like, I don't want to serve in the imperialist military.
I heard that this morning and I was like, wait, that wasn't a thing? Like, you can't bully trans kids at school, which as you shouldn't, but like, they couldn't join the military? Like,
well, they couldn't under Trump, and that's the thing. I mean, yeah. Trump would get on TV and he talks about how much he's in favor of LGBT rights, and he lifted up that flag upside down, and then he had his awkward second daughter go on a speech for them. But I know, Cate, I know you do a lot of work in activism. You were very involved with Extinction Rebellion. So I just want to, one more, before I ask you this question, I just want to talk about climate change. He is enforcing a temporary moratorium on oil and natural gas leases in the Arctic. He is revoking the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline, which is definitely a positive. And as I said, he wants to re-enter the United States in the Paris Climate Accords. So what I'm looking for from you fine folks is just some immediate feedback. And I guess I'll start with you, Cate. Where would you like to see Joe Biden go next?
Well, he needs to stop all the pipelines. I mean, I was at Standing Rock in 2016, and that's just horrendous in how those people are treated. And these pipelines mostly go through all indigenous lands, Line 3 up in Minnesota, you know, or people of color, poor communities, like the bottom end of the DAPL pipeline is in a very poor section of Louisiana. And so some activists from Standing Rock went down to Louisiana to stand there, which was, it wasn't as big as Standing Rock. And of course they lost just like Standing Rock did, but it travels through mostly indigenous lands or people of color. Well, all pipelines go through, you know, poor communities. You know, They always suffer the most from this, and they all leak, and the cleanup is never anything compared to the damage. And or they abandon pipelines, and then they're not held responsible for the cleanup of them either. And it's just so he needs to ban fracking totally. But you know, Biden helped push that with Hillary, and it's unnecessary, and I do believe they just want to suck every drop of oil out of the ground before they switch to renewables, and there'll be nothing left to save by then. You know, there's no point if we don't do something drastic like today. There's just no point in 4 years. You know, we all just should be learning survival skills. You know,
going back to the Stone Age. I mean, what's unfortunate is activists here in New Jersey that aren't going, you know, you are, but I'm not going all the way out to Keystone XL. I'm not going to Dakota Access Pipeline. But people like I'm over here in New Jersey, you know, pretty much ignorant of a lot of the science, but I knew it was going to be a disaster. I know every time they have these pipelines, there's going to be a leak. There's going to be cutting corners. And throughout this, there's always people of color, activists saying, you know, we know it's going to happen. And it always happens. And it's unfortunate. I think that's part of being an activist. There's like this, you know, this telepathy. It's not even telepathy. It's just you could look at history and you could say it's going to be a disaster, and it ends up being a disaster. I actually wanted to ask you as a student, right? So Joe Biden, well, of course, progressives have been pushing to get rid of student loan debt, and you know, of course, there's a huge pushback from the right, and we know Joe Biden is not necessarily on board with that. And there have been people, particularly legislators, that have been calling for, you know, the ending of student loan debt. So, of course, we see the Biden administration meeting them 50-50 with $50,000 in debt. Leah, I just wanted to ask you, well, let me ask you, how would $50,000, how do I say this? Excusing $50,000 in student loan debt, how would that affect your life?
Well, that would be excellent for me personally. I would be grateful, but I mean, it's not forgiving all of it, because there are people who went to private schools which are just way more expensive, and 50,000 isn't going to cut it. And also, I saw a meme the other day, and at first it made me chuckle, but then it kind of stuck with me, and it was one of those trolley memes. I don't know if anyone has heard of those, but it's like, okay, if you forgive student debt now, that's awesome for future people. But what about all the people who already wasted their lives paying off their student debt? What about retroactively? It's kind of a similar argument to freeing people who are in jail. Like, what about the people who have already spent time? It's ridiculous. But yeah, it would be good. $50,000. I'd be happy.
Well, can I just say something too? Well, about is it up to 50,000 now? Because I heard he was only talking about 10. So that's my first question.
Oh, wow.
And which is a big, huge disappointment because he was talking about student loan forgiveness, and then once he's in office, he it's 10. But as far as, people being upset because they've already paid off their loans, that's like saying, I'm not going to feed the hungry because I ate today. I'm glad you could pay off your loans, but these people are still in trouble and they need help. So that's how I feel about that. And this whole thing, student loans used to be the loan to get because there was minute interest on it and they weren't penalized in any ways. And then after the 2008 a recession, whatever you want to call it, but they lifted the limits on the interest limit, and they started getting hit harder and not getting any relief from Obama and Biden. During that recession, they've just fallen further and further behind. So
big bailouts. The schools lost a lot of federal funding, and that forced a lot of them to raise fees and so on and so forth.
Sure.
And a lot of people lost out. Now, I have to say myself, I've paid off my student loan debt, and I'm very thankful for that. But I finished graduate school in 2009. So there was this period from 2009 till about 2017 where I didn't have money. Because I finished grad school right as the recession hit, so I couldn't find a job. Right, I was freelancing, trying to grasp at straws to survive, and on top of everything, trying to pay rent at the time, or giving my parents money when I had money, or just trying to live my life. On top of everything, I had to pay $200-$400 a month for my student loan, so that hurts my ability to pay rent. That hurts my ability to drive a car, and for an entire generation, or at this point, a number of generations that are trying or struggling to survive, it's to not even address that when we're giving these $1 trillion tax cuts, to not address, student loan forgiveness. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Absolutely.
I did want to comment on something for those of us that are watching. Brian's got the whiteboard in the back. Now, Brian, since the beginning, has been saying. And he's been saying that Biden is really good at backing him. What was I don't know the phrase used. Backing himself.
Right now, he's engaged in serious bargaining against himself.
Bargaining. So bargain. Okay, that's what it is. Bargaining against himself. So
what it's proving is that Joe Biden is both a shitty and great bargainer.
He's a better bargainer than Trump, I guess. I don't.
Because when you bargain by yourself, you always win and you always lose. It's awesome for Joe. Although the rest of us are getting what I've done here. Yeah, Cate actually being on the editorial board has a lot of perks. You will get to pick a show subject if you win our pool, which we now have 2 of because of this conversation. Because I'm very excited about this because I know I'm not getting any fucking money. So I might as well get some entertainment out of it. Cate, remember our editorial board. How much money do you think the Biden check will be? So far, we've got we started out with 2 G's, which is what President Joe Biden said himself, but that's not going to happen because immediately after getting elected, he talked himself back to 1,400. Chris says 1,200. I said 800, but that was like 2 weeks ago. And quite frankly, if I had to bet now, it'd be 0. But curious, what's your number for the pool here?
My number for the pool, well, it varies because first his promise was 2,000 immediately. Now it's 14,000 in March, possibly
1,400. Let's not get there.
1,400, right? And now he's also throwing in looking at a new threshold. So it depends where you are. So I got that 600. But I'm close to the threshold, and honestly, I'm still working and I've been fully employed this whole time, so I don't know why I'm getting a check. So that's why I've donated to like your show and other things because I have the money, and so I'm trying to help where I can. But I would say the next check, I would say it's going to be 1,400, but not everybody who got the 6 is going to get it.
We're gonna go prices right on this. 1,400's already taken, so you can go $1 over, or you can go $1 below and make it $13.99 and be a dick to Bennett.
Well, can I go? Well, let's see. I can't go over though. I have to be under, but not over.
Whoever comes closest without going over, it's Price is Right style. So you would want
so
$13.99.
What's under the 12? I can't see what's 8.
800, 400 and 800.
I'm gonna go 801.
Ooh.
Oh,
I watched The Price is Right.
oh, all right. And now we have a new pool starting, I guess, based on how much money student debt gets relieved, which Joe is, quite frankly, doing the same thing now. And this is like, honestly, man, like, so this is why I'm such a curmudgeon about electoral politics and why I don't involve myself as much anymore. And, you know, why I'm kind of a douche about it is because, quite frankly, I'm sick of this nonsense. This is the Obama administration all over again, combined with the George W. Bush administration, basically, which is like the best of both worlds when it comes to economic and overseas terrorism. And, you know, what led to Trump was that. So, like you said, yeah, we're better when Chris starts out and says, well, you know, yeah, he's better than Trump. I've got an upturned mob that would be a better president than Donald Trump. It's no kind of bar to set. And we have reinstated the conditions that led to Donald Trump. At the same time, we just had a conversation with our good friends at the Idavox Network about right-wing militias infiltrating Black Lives Matter successfully on a million-hitted YouTube channel. You doing math with me right now? Yeah. It's not a good answer at the end of that equation.
Yeah, I see a worse Trump coming in 2024 because already, you know, the progressives got Biden elected, and he's already thrown them under the bus. You know, he's already disowned. You know, doesn't think we exist, and that's why I'm with Movement for the People's Party. We plan on running a 2024 presidential candidate for sure.
So sorry.
Go ahead, Leah, because then I have a question for Kate. Go ahead.
I had a little question. I'm noticing a little pattern, and it feels kind of like gaslighting what they do, because it was like, 2000, and then they're taking it down a little bit. It's like, okay, they're still giving us money. That's nice, I guess. And they kind of just want you to forget what they promised. And I'm kind of scared they're going to do that with, like, the student loan money. Like, I wonder if we're even going to get anything in the end. And I just want to know if you guys think we're even going to get student loan money.
I just want to say this is why one of the reasons it's important to have third parties, right? Because the Democrats aren't going to do anything because they know that on the other side of the door are the Republicans and Trump. And they know that progressives know that. Right. And there's the progressives that don't vote. Right. Whatever. But for the ones that do. Right. It's kind of like they got us. Right. I'm not an accelerationist. I got a wife. I got nieces and nephews I'm trying to take care of. I don't want a civil war. I don't want any of that. I'm not a 22-year-old anymore. Right. So for me, I mean, I'll leave it there. But Kate, if you want something.
So to talk with Leah about what she brought up, well, this is what the Democrats do. They promise stuff, and people get all happy. Like so many people are all happy because he's signing a bill or an executive order to end federal contracts with private prisons. Well, that doesn't cut out the state private prisons. It doesn't stop ICE. It doesn't, and so, but people don't know the details. And so they don't see that. And so they get all excited. But by the end of his term, people are going to be pissed and they're not going to fall for it again. Trump was horrible, and a lot of progressives, in New Jersey, they say you don't have to vote for, the Dem or Republican because you're safe. It's going to go Democrat. But I just felt like the more people that voted for Biden, to get him out of office. But normally I would have voted third party, the Green Party. Although honestly, I felt like Howie was like, it was like watching a slug cross the road, because compared to Jill Stein, he just had absolutely nothing going for him. But
I had to work for that potato head.
Yeah, we talked about that while it was happening. That was fun.
Yeah, we were covering that right here on this station with just the disaster that was. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Kate.
No, that's okay. And
I had a lot of experience.
Not going to do that again. Progressives aren't. You can't do this. In two presidential elections, say, we're not Trump. That's not, and then you can't lie to us. And expect us to fall for it again. And so that's why I'm very proud of the People's Party. We're registered as a party in 2 states already, and really building. We've just had another electoral committee meeting for New Jersey here, and working with National, and really really pushing this. We're not going to be a third party. We're going to be a new major party. And
I
Where would you say you're
appreciate
based now? Oh, I'm sorry, Leah. Go ahead.
I want to say I appreciate your answer very much, Christian and Kate. And if I'm to understand what you're saying, it's basically you guys aren't making any promises for the Democrats, but you can kind of say that a third party would be a much better way to vote if you're interested in getting any sort of student loan relief or social justice at all, for that matter.
well, absolutely, because the two parties that I call them Demoplicans, it's one party, Demoplicans, and they're servicing the people who support them, and that's business and private industry and corporations, and
Yeah, you
the
must
party
be
doesn't
talking.
do that. Yeah,
You must be talking about the Republicrats.
there you go. Yeah, I am. I am.
Joe Biden and Barack Obama, they are totally tied to this. I just want to make this one last point. It's in 2008, Barack Obama had this amazing campaign infrastructure where he was able to mobilize thousands, if not millions of people to help get him elected, right? And part of the price he paid to show that he was a member of the status quo was he totally liquidated that infrastructure, right? So he had 8 years as president where he had, for lack of a better term, an army of supporters that he could have used to push things like healthcare, to push things like ending wars or racial equality or anything. And the price he paid to show that he was a member of the status quo was to dissolve that infrastructure. That could have been a game changer in the history of American politics, and Obama literally just let it evaporate.
Yeah, and I don't think I think he got a feel for his position and his power, and he liked it. And quite frankly, I've heard shortly after he left office, I heard a speech where he was speaking to some big whatever, and he was like, "Hey, oil prices are up. You can thank me for that." Because he, it's just like when he played with the DAPL pipeline. He waited till the very end to put some kind of stupid thing in so that it would get passed on to Trump's administration, and Trump immediately okayed it.
Yeah.
He promised them that he would take care of them, and he went out to Standing Rock in 2014 to get their support, and he promised he would take care of them, and he totally backstabbed them. Totally. It's just like when he went to Flint and took a sip of water and said, "Oh, it's fine." He's just full of shit, if you ask me. And Biden was with him.
With the third parties, because I organized with the Green Party for years in New Jersey, as a local party, and that was like an act. I always thought of it as like an activist organization. And what I think, it's not just that we need a third party; it's that I think we need to think about what a political party is differently. And what I fear with MPP or anybody trying to get into this electoral sphere is that you just act like Republicans and Democrats, but you think because you have some different principles that's going to be better. And it could be that we get a progressive party that moves things forward like Medicare for all, and that's fine. But I don't think ultimately that the goal, for a revolutionary, right? Like we talk about, I want a different system of government. And I think in order to have a different socialist system of government, we need a political party that provides political education. And what I mean by that is right now, if I want to run for office, I can go to my local Democratic Party club, give money to the right people, and I can run for office, right? And that's how it works. And then I can promote whatever I want in office. If I want to be for guns or against guns or for or pro-abortion or whatever, doesn't really matter who supports me in the proletariat and the working class in the oppressed and disabled communities and things like that. It doesn't matter because I paid my way in. And for a political party to really function, and I know you guys don't take corporate money and MPP, and there's other ways of checking this, but you have to take people in and start teaching them how to run a society, not run a political party, not get yourself ahead, not win the next office, not win an election. You have to teach people how to run a society, because that's what government's supposed to friggin' do. And until political parties take that kind of education, that kind of application of principle, and in my case, I'd like it to be Marxist principles. But at this point, I'll take any set of principles because we don't have anything. And so, I mean, that's where, when we ask about third parties or, electoral processes, Leah made the comment, we were chatting a little bit, why'd I hit Bernie? Why did I say I felt Bernie took the movement backward? votes. And it was pretty simple because you didn't take that mass of proletariat support he had and do something purposeful with it as far as building a better formation. He sucked it right back into the Democratic Party and told people to vote for Joe Biden, which honestly we all kind of knew he was going to do anyway. It wasn't a big letdown, but for those involved, for those who gave 5, 6, 7 years of your life to Bernie Sanders, it was a huge letdown. And I saw a lot of people seriously depressed, dealing with serious mental health issues because Bernie Sanders abandoned them and went back into and is basically a Democrat. He can call himself an independent. So, I think it's important when we analyze these parties and how they function that we really start to question what a political party is and whether or not we want, a socialist system of political education or not in this country.
Yeah. The Democratic Party stopped being the party of the working people a long time ago. I brought it up repeatedly here. Bill Clinton was the president. The Democrat was the president who said we were going to end welfare. He was going to end welfare as we know it, right? He's the one who I can't remember the guy's name. He executed a mentally ill man to show the Republicans that he was tough on crime. So, I mean, these are the Democrats we have. These are the Democrats we get. And they realized after getting shellacked in a couple elections that they needed to be more welcoming to corporate power. And the price that got paid was support for unions, support for people of color outside fake wokeness. And this is what got us Donald Trump. They're fake identity politics, fake wokeness, as opposed to systemic, criticisms of systemic racism. This is what we get. This 2020 and now 2021, which everybody thought it was the year. It's not the year.
Oh yeah, no, it's not the year. But I don't know about how we would teach a society, but as far as the People's Party is going, is everything is member voted on. Candidates are being vetted that by national at this time, and probably it'll be go down to states as it gets larger. But not anybody can just say, I'm going to run on the People's Party ticket. You can't give us a large sum of money to be able to do that. We have a lot of people. The main people who started the People's Party, the movement for People's Party, were Bernie Sanders delegates and part of his national team in 2016, and knew after working with the DNC that the Democratic Party will never allow a progressive to be in any position of power within any political anything,
Yeah.
When Bernie ran this time, I said, well, do I really want to try this again? And, this time what they did was they got all of the other candidates to drop out and back Joe. And Bernie was on his way to win. After Nevada, that was it. And so they did what they had to do to stop him. And I don't know what Bernie's thoughts are on why he stays, and didn't switch parties. I don't want to believe that, that he loves them in any kind of way. If he believes he can do more by being there. If he's actually going to be the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, that's awesome. He's already threatening, Joe with all kinds of things, and the problem is Joe Biden's going to negotiate with Republicans, and there's no reason to. We have full control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. Why are we negotiating? I can remember in 2008 yelling at Barack Obama when he kept moving backwards on his health plan because the Republicans kept saying, oh, well, if you do this, we'll consider it. And so he'd go back and he'd do that and he'd come to them and they'd go, well, maybe now if you do this, and it wound up being crap.
Yeah.
And now he's just going to right out negotiate with them when there's no reason to. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Notice how you still saying we when referring to the Democratic Party, Cate. Oh God.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
It's all right. We'll get
I don't mean to. I was telling everybody, get out, get the hell out.
We both chopped here on Revolutionary a little bit. No, I will, and I appreciate what you're doing, but I think it is, and yes, well, how do I teach a society? Well, we don't have a real, like I said, we don't have real principles as a society. I think we have to,
Yeah.
but there have been some demonstrations, I think, and I'll see even recent ones like the Poor People's Campaign where they had their 14 points, but all that was Democrats drawing people in for Hillary Clinton, and that was it. I mean, it was not really real. And I think, but that was a demonstration maybe of some principles and values that I saw and said, hey, that might make a better society. So I think things like that make a better. And when you say, well, like, I appreciate, and I really do appreciate, you know, what you say, like, well, everything's democratically voted on. That's great. Things are democratically voted on in this country, too. We still wind up with Trump. It's really about holding to your principles and creating something that values better democracy. Because even, I mean, I saw it, especially in a small third party, narcissists are really friggin' good at getting in those places because they can basically, I mean, I walked into the Green Party and became, and like right now, you walked in and I know you're a good person. I'm not saying this is you, but you walked in the door and you're a state lead organizer. I walked in the door, I was like chair of some committee or something. You know, it's very easy for a dipshit to come in there and screw everything up.
Oh, thanks.
And so if you don't have a system in place to stop that dipshit from coming in and take action and to at least have some kind of, you know, I don't want to call it, I want to say, you know, political education, some kind of way through the door that makes sure that people are competent. You know, I mean, that's important. That's important. And we don't do that. Nobody does it. This country doesn't do it. The left doesn't do it. The right doesn't do it. Our executive branch doesn't do it. So, you know.
Well, on our well, I couldn't just walk in and say I'm going to be the state organizer. I had to be vetted by the regional coordinator.
Your position there, but
I mean, anybody creating a hub, you're vetted, and they want all your, you know, your social media accounts and all that stuff, and you're vetted, and you can't just, you know, get in there and start, you know. The workspace was infiltrated by some, you know, people causing disruption, and they cleaned them out. They just cleaned them out after months of trying to work with them and see what their real issues were. And it really was, they were just causing trouble. And MPP, the higher ups had to just, you know, clean them out. And it was not nice, but they're not putting up with the disruption and the, you know, and it wasn't just people were spoken to before they were, you know, removed from the workspace.
Months to do that, huh?
Yeah, well, because it was a lot. And
the next round of it's already there. There's the next round. You're there. I said the next round of it's already there, working its way in for the next time.
Well,
so if you're running a third party in this country, get ready for multiple constant disruptions from people trying to fuck with your heads.
Oh, please. But when I started in August, people from the Green Party here in New Jersey were like, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I couldn't believe some of the people that you and I know, Brian, were just, I don't want to name names straight out, but you know who they are. And they just wouldn't, they harassed the crap out of me all over Facebook.
Where is the movement for, where the MPP, where is your power base? Like, where are you located? Where is like national headquarters?
We don't have a national headquarters. You know, yeah, but well, Nick Brana, who started it, he was Bernie Sanders. He was who was he at on Bernie's campaign? It was his job to talk to all the superdelegates to try and get them to back Bernie. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that being your job? So anyway, so Nick and a couple other people started after the 2016 convention, and actually it started with a movement to draft Bernie for People's Party, and Bernie, after a couple months, I don't know if there were back and forths or whatever, but just told them straight out that he wasn't going to do that. So in 2017, they started the movement for a People's Party. But Nick, I believe, lives in Virginia or Maryland, and but there's people, you know, there's people in like the lead circles, the regional coordinators. There's one in Todd lives in Ohio, Carol lives in Michigan, Jessica's in somewhere in the South, Phil's in Maryland, Phil's the Northeast regional coordinator, Michelle's in Kansas. So, you know, but everything's done online right now, you know, as far as organizing, everything's done online. We hope to have a founding convention in the late spring, early summer where we can get together. We don't know if we'll be able to do that, but.
All right. Where can I find out more about the movement for a People's Party?
peoplesparty.org.
What about New Jersey? If I live in New Jersey and I want to find out more about what you're doing in New Jersey, do you have something you can talk about yourself, like a Twitter handle, Facebook page? Is there a New Jersey MPP Facebook page?
There is a New Jersey Facebook page. It's New Jersey People's Party. One word, you search it, you'll find it. But, and I really don't, I post stuff that's going on in New Jersey on the People's Party page that would be interesting, or that we could possibly, build a coalition with other movements and stuff. But mostly for information, it's all national. There's, pretty much everybody knows, I'm the organizer in New Jersey. It's real easy. Most people in all different groups and whatever know me from, activism. But when you sign up on the national page, the national page website has so much information on it. It's so transparent. The platform's on there. Our financial reports are on there. The organizing team, the top organizing team is on there. But if you sign up to volunteer, it'll ask you what state you're in and what you're interested in doing as a volunteer. And then that will, you sign the community agreements, and that will get you an invite into Slack. Our Slack is our working space. Okay. And then once you're in Slack, you can connect with your state hubs, like a chapter, and that's where you'll get me if you don't know me already. But we have a monthly meeting the first Wednesday of every month, where we open it up to the general public, and you can come on and find out about us. And if you're interested, we can onboard you right there through there and get you in faster. We started in New Jersey when I started organizing. The Action Network for New Jersey People's Party had just under 1,800 people.
Wow.
And as of this morning, just in New Jersey, we have 3,681 people. So we've more than doubled in the 6 months that we've been organizing in New Jersey, or that I've been a part of the organizing in New Jersey. So it's taking a while to get everybody onboarded into Slack, because I can only talk to so many people at a time. But but if you're interested, please, or if you're in another state, if you're watching this in another state, join up with your state, and there's a hub near you and you can get connected. Or you can work on national stuff too, which has so much stuff you can do for national, including social media or tech, video, organizing, hub building. It's phenomenal. Regenerative culture, if that's your thing, because we want everybody to be nice. We want everybody to know how you're supposed to treat people. So there is a teaching aspect. What do you mean, no, Brian? Yeah, I've never been a part of those regenerative cultures things. I'm just like a nice person.
I'm from New Jersey. How the fuck is that going to work?
Yeah.
So relative to what we were talking about earlier with the IDAVOX report, Jimmy Dore, for the most part, represents himself as being of the left, and then he platforms the Boogaloo Boys, who are responsible for murders and violence and all kinds of things. I want to say thank you for coming on today, Cate, because Revolution Radio is about bringing left-wing media to the masses, right? Mm-hmm. When we platform people, it's someone like you, Cate, someone that has something to share, someone that has, a new political party, movement for a people's party, right? You're an environmentalist. You care about people. You care about healthcare, right? Leah jumped on board because she cares about the cause. We don't reach out to Nazis masquerading as allies. And I think that it's important that I think New Jersey Revolution Radio, or Revolution Radio now, it's going to take me a while to get that straight. But this is why it's important. This is why this type of media is important. And this is why when you're watching this, please, please, please donate and join our editorial board. njrevolutionradio.com/donate. If you can give $5 and then tell 5 people about this show, about our network, you would be doing your part. And
Absolutely.
That's what we want.
Yeah. That's why thank you, Joe Biden, or actually Trump, for helping me to donate to Revolution Radio.
No.
It's coming out of
your labor provided that money.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. No, I wouldn't thank Trump for anything. And probably not Biden either. It's horrible.
Chris, are we done?
I think we're done, Brian. I want to say thank you so much. Kate, anything else you want to plug? Anything else you want to mention? Anything else you'd like to talk about before we sign off tonight?
Just whatever you want to, whatever is close to your heart, people get involved with, hopefully join People's Party movement, because we're trying to take care of everybody, but whatever is close to your heart is, people need you.
Thank you so much for coming on today, Kate. Leah, as always, thank you for your work behind the scenes. Thank you for coming in front of the camera today. We appreciate everything you do here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Perez, our host from Modernity, more Revolution Radio. I don't know, Modernity, sir, are you going to come out with anything new soon?
Well, I came out with a video last week, and I'm going to do a video tonight also. So I think I had some unfinished notes for Jimmy Dore, so I think I'm going to record some notes tonight before I crash.
It's a great podcast. Pat, our editorial board member, was in the background. I got to pop him in real quick and get his number. Pat is unexpected. Hey, Pat, how you doing? Can you hear us? Oh, no, we can't hear him. His audio's not on. He's over there. You see, Pat, I need to get the number. If you're on the editorial board and you're listening, if you haven't signed up yet, you can go to www.njrevolutionradio.com. That's NJ, like in new journalism, njrevolutionradio.com. And you can become a member of the editorial board, and then we'll get, Pat, how much is the Biden check going to be? It's Price is Right rules. You got to come as close as you can without going over. Right now, we've got 2,000, 1,400, 1,200, 801, and 800. What are you coming in at, brother? We can't hear him. You're going to have to flash me some.
No, I'm thinking. I really don't have any idea, I mean,
nobody. That's the fun of it.
$1,200.37.
Now we got. So you're gonna go at 12:01. You're gonna come in at
12:01. That's good.
All right. But these are my comrades here. They got to make everything complicated. Right?
It's a moving target. It's one thing one day and one thing the next day. So I don't blame Pat for taking his time.
I think we may end up getting nothing, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. I think I placed my bet too early. I should have waited. It would be zero. Leah, are you in at zero?
For me, I'm certainly in at zero. I haven't gotten anything yet, but for you guys, let's call it like 600 because that's kind of a low guess.
You're gonna say 600? I'm telling you, I think zero is the better bet. But okay.
All
right, Leah's in at 600.
Whatever we get, Wall Street's gonna get a lot more. I'll tell you that. No doubt about that.
You can tune into this nonsense on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. It comes after the serious discussion usually, but it's nice to break it down and have a little bit of fun with our comrades. So please tune in. Please share this out. Check us out. We're on Twitch and Twitter and YouTube and all over the place. So wherever you're checking us out on the Revolution Radio Network, please make sure you share it. It's important that people know that independent, anti-capitalist, grassroots media exists. Here's our really cool trailer. See you next week at 8 p.m.
Thrown against the car, handcuffed, and that's what happened last night.
The police kicked in the door, shot him twice in the chest, and he died.
Before you knew it, we had 500 families. We had over 100 volunteers calling us. We were on the phone constantly.
I can't get it. And I got one police department telling me they don't know who's in charge. I got another police department here. Everybody's got a gun and nobody knows who's in charge. Did anybody figure out who's in charge yet? Is there anybody in charge here? Any police officer in charge? Are you in charge? I can't find anybody in charge. That's the problem.